Recording in.
Welcome back, sleuths, suspects, and witnesses. This is day 24. We are almost to the end of this wacky book festival we've been doing all month. We've been having so much fun, though. I kind of hate to see it come to an end. I mean, I'm kind of relieved, but kind of not relieved. We'll see how it goes tonight. We are doing this again, as we have almost every night this month. Nightly schedule. I'm gonna try and keep it to an hour. I'm finding that I have to rein a couple of people in once in a while, but for the most part, we make it. If we go a couple minutes over, don't shoot. Andrew, I was gonna ask you something. Now I forgot. I'll remember. Okay, author readings. Here we go. Jules Nelson and Ingar Redholm are both reading their amazing books for us tonight. This is going to be so much fun. I am super, super excited about this. So excited. My brain is having a hard time keeping up. So tonight, Jules is going to be reading from her book. Do you have it in front of you? A little bit closer. There we go. Road Home. It's the second in her duology. Is this going to be a trilogy at some point, Jules?
It's going to be a trilogy at least, but the characters are not behaving, so it might actually be a 4 series. So
I hate it when they do that.
Cool. Yeah, trying to make them behave. But
when you are ready, please, Jules, take the microphone and read aloud for us.
Okay. December 9th, 1858 in the evening. A scream escaped Emma. After not seeing anyone all day, the last thing she expected was to see a child standing in the middle of her barn. Emma had heard about people with dark skin when she had attended school. The teacher had taught them that they had been enslaved because of the color of their skin. However, she had never actually seen anyone with brown skin with her own eyes. Once the panic had settled from her startled body, her eyes took in the dark skin, the bare, cracked feet, the torn dress, and ended at the beautiful little face. However, when Emma looked into the child's eyes, she saw terror still residing there. "Oh, pardon me for being so rude," Emma rushed to console the little girl. "I scared you with my screaming, and then here I stand just staring at you." Rubbing a hand across her forehead, she tried to think of a way to calm the girl. "I didn't mean to scream. I just startled to see anyone in my barn. I thought I was alone today, so I didn't expect to see anyone out here." With a glance around the barn, she saw that there was no one else there. She prepared herself to see someone else stepping out into the open. "I wonder where her family is. Surely she couldn't be traveling by herself." When nothing else moved in the barn, she turned her attention back to the child in front of her. The terror in the child's eyes was being replaced with curiosity, but the shaking of her shoulders did not lessen. "Oh," Emma exclaimed, "you're freezing." It dawned on her the reason for the child being in the barn. Though the barn was still chilly, she could no longer see her own breath in front of her face. Taking the shawl off her shoulders, she wrapped it around the child. Eyes huge, the little girl stared up into Emma's face. Emma's own eyes twinkled as she remembered the trunk of Annie's things. "Oh yes," she laughed, "I have some clothes that would fit you. They'll be a mite warmer than the ones you're wearing now. Should I fetch them for you?" After a moment to think, the girl nodded. Emma turned and all but ran to the house. Throwing up to open the trunk, she moved the quilts on top to look through the dresses available. Over the previous couple of weeks, everything had quieted down. Emma had found herself with plenty of time on her hands, so she had explored this trunk with all its treasures. At first, it had felt strange going through someone else's belongings, but in the end, she felt like Annabelle was a little less forgotten. Finding 2 dresses that would probably fit with some hemming, she put them in with some socks and some woolen bloomers. The shoes would probably be too big, but they would keep her feet warm at least. Draping the clothes over her arms, she piled a quilt on top. Then, carefully holding the shoes and her sewing basket, Emma hurried back to the barn. A short distance before she stepped into the barn, Emma felt a movement off to her right. Turning, she expected to see the child's parents, but all she saw was darkness. "Hello," Emma called. "You're welcome to come into the barn where it's warm." The young girl stepped into the open doorway. A reflection from 2 eyes emerged from the dark shadows, but they weren't human eyes. A terror gripped Emma's heart as she saw the powerful cat slink out of the shadows toward her. The terror kept her feet frozen in place. frozen until the piercing scream came from the barn. Looking towards the sound, she saw the young girl standing out in the open. "Get back," Emma yelled, running towards the child, and closed the door. Each of the girls grabbed a door and pushed it to block out the giant cat that was lunging towards them. Within inches to go, the door stopped. Snarling sounded from the other side of the boards. Claws swiped at the small opening, trying to push their way in. Without thought, Emma pushed the girl back and threw her back against the opening. Catching the wildcat by surprise, the door slammed closed. The unexpected motion caused Emma to stumble backwards. Quickly bracing herself for leverage, she leaned heavily into the door. "Please, Lord, protect us," escaped her lips as she prepared to protect the child in front of her. The sound of a board hitting the door above her head opened her eyes. She looked up just in time to see the long board sliding down into the groove of the door. Not a moment before the weight of the cat hit the outside of the door again. Emma pushed with all her might to support the door. When the snarling sound quit, the movement of the cat lingered outside the door for what felt like forever. When the heavy steps finally moved further from the barn, Emma squeaked out an order to the girl next to her. "Go check the latch on the other door. Make sure it's firmly in place. Hurry." The girl flew to the backside of the barn. When the latch was solidly in place, she ran back to Emma's side. Emma sat in the dirt of the doorway. The shock wore off, leaving her shaky. Looking up at the terrified girl, she tried to smile. "Thank you for your help," she whispered. Looking the girl's arms over, she checked for scratches. "Are you hurt?" The little girl shook her head. Laughing then, Emma pulled the girl into her arms as her eyes filled up with tears. She knew the young child didn't need the hug as much as she needed it herself, but the girl did not struggle. The Lord was looking out for us ladies today. Emma closed her eyes and breathed a simple prayer of thankfulness. After her heart calmed to a normal beat, Emma opened her eyes to the mess before her. Oh no. In her haste, she had thrown her armload of the clothes onto the ground in a heap. The shoes had landed into something particularly messy, and her eyes filled with frustration when she saw the overturned sewing basket. Wiping the tears away, she laughed at her foolishness. No use crying over spilled buttons when we're both safe. Releasing the child from her arms, she sighed. Not keen on the idea of moving from her spot guarding the door, she pointed to the clothes in the dirt. "If you bring me a dress and find me a needle from all that dirt, I can fix you up something warm to wear." The young girl dutifully rummaged through the dust until she found a needle and a thread. Sliding the first dress over the girl's head, Emma quickly put in a higher hem. When the dress hem was finished, Emma explained how the undergarments worked to her young friend. She explained how they would keep her warm, and the young girl scurried off to an empty stall to put them on. She came back to have Emma help her lace up the shoes. Sighing in exhaustion, Emma wrapped the closest quilt around the girl's shoulder and pulled her close to her side to keep her warm. On the verge of sleep, Emma heard the child's stomach growl. "I should have brought you out a biscuit," she realized. "We'll have to have some eggs and biscuits with come first light." She felt the child nod, and then Emma fell asleep. We'll stop there.
Yay! Thank you. What a great book. I'm so excited. I got this book recently from you, and I can't wait to read it. I'm so excited. Thank you so much. Can you hold up your book for us one more time?
Yep.
This is Road Home, and this is by Jules Nelson. So everybody put that on your TBR. Next, Ingar Rudholm is going to read for us. He is going to read from Traveling Circus. There it is, everybody, Traveling Circus. Ingar, when you are ready, please take the microphone and read aloud.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, good. Carnival music, shouting, and laughter filled Flynn's ears. The scent of elephant ears, French fries, popcorn, and roasted peanuts floated through the air. He saw carnival rides to his right and food carts to his left. Straight ahead, he saw several tents. As he weaved through the crowd, he saw a billboard. Expand your horizons, enhance your life. Talk with Albert Fortune Teller. Intrigued by the future, Flynn paid the admission fee and entered the tent with great reservation. With the help of a flickering candle on the table, his eyes slowly adjusted to his new surroundings. The Technicolor tent dazzled his eyes. It was decorated with a full spectrum of colors. Green and red sprite the walls, and the ceiling had painted like the sky. What does a fortune teller know about my future? Flynn wondered as he noticed a sparkling crystal ball resting on the table. A gravelly voice from behind a star-covered curtain said, "Please have a seat." The voice startled Flynn, but he dutifully sat down. A wrinkled hand slid the curtain open to reveal Albert the fortune teller. He was an old man with untamed hair, a gray, bushy mustache, and a face full of wrinkles. His hooded robe draped from his shoulders to his toes, and he sat down in an empty chair and squinted at Flynn. "Relax, young man. The future is going to happen, whether you like it or not. If you want to do something bold with your life, never let fear overpower you." Flynn took his advice and released the death grip on the chair. He pretended to be relaxed, placed his hands on the table, palms down. He forced a stern look, but none of this drove his anxiety away from his mind. "So, what would you like to know about your future?" Albert said, with an air of mystery to him. "What should I study in college? And will I ever meet a girlfriend?" Flynn blurted out without pause. These questions tortured him, and since he couldn't talk to his parents, maybe the fortune teller could give him some advice. Albert leaned in his chair, placed his bifocals on the bridge of his nose. He scratched his chin with his left hand and slowly waved his hand over the crystal ball. The candle flame flickered as a breeze passed through the tent, giving Flynn goosebumps. The core of the ball glowed of light amber and purple smoke swirled inside. An expanding universe seemed to be trapped inside the crystal ball. Transfixed, Albert rambled. "I see that you met a girl at a dance, but you fear she's out of your league, which makes you extremely shy around her. In fact, you barely talk to her." Flynn's open mouth was all Albert needed to see, so he continued, "You're afraid of rejection, the girl, from your parents, and from life in general. You're uncomfortable with risk, even though you know what you want. So you sit back instead of taking action because criticism terrifies you." Surprised by the honesty of Albert's statements, Flynn didn't know how to respond, so he changed the subject. "What about college?" "Like I said before, you know what you're passionate about, but you're afraid to go after it," Albert responded, drawing from a life full of experiences. There we go.
Yay! So again, that was Ingar Redholm, and he was reading from his book, Traveling Circus. Can you hold it up for us one more time, pretty please? There it is. Yay! Thank you very, very much. Wonderfully talented, amazing, incredible authors. I love our author community. We have so much fun. All right, it is time, everybody. Time to move on with some trepidation today, because I don't know what's coming. In the beginning, I thought I knew what was coming, and then we had a murder, and now I'm really uncertain about the whole thing. The case of the assassinated author. First, there was a book that was stolen. We discovered that Andrew Allen Smith stole the sardonic manuscript, but then one day he dropped dead, assassinated for the deed. But who is the culprit of this murder, and why did they do it? We have several suspects for you to take into consideration. Chloe Holiday, who hasn't completely come clean as to who she is. Hopefully we'll find out in the next 3 days. Melinda Falco is a researcher. Ruby Fink, a psychic. Christopher Gare, our not so undercover officer. Amy Kelso is the head librarian, but I have to let you all know that tonight Amy is attending the American Library Association convention, and she will be joining us again on Monday. She sent her apologies. 3 times she sent her apologies, just so that you know. Jules Nelson, our library director, I'm sure will manage the library in Amy's stead. Marianne Wieland is our gregarious cafe manager, and Deborah Reed, our intrepid reporter. We've come a long way in our interrogation sessions all month long, and I'm sure you still have remaining questions. So everybody feel free to turn on your microphones and let's get the questioning underway. Just to remind you all, Andrew Smith is dead. So
Is that his ghost? Do I see a ghost of Andrew Smith?
his ghost does appear from time to time.
Only in Zoom meetings?
But unfortunately, he can't speak during the interrogations. Sometimes he can control the chat room though. So keep an eye open for you.
Andrew
Never know.
He can't speak? Oh no.
I know, it's a horrible thing, isn't it? All right. So who is going to open up the questioning this evening? Who has our go, Christopher?
This is a question for all the suspects in the room here tonight. Since Amy is not here, I say we blame the whole thing on her, and let's take a vote. Passed.
I think it's a great idea. She must have a little bit of fortune teller in her because she suspected you would throw her under the bus. She sent me an email warning me about it.
Look out!
I think maybe she's been talking to Ruby and the two of them have been playing with the tarot cards because yeah, she was concerned. Okay. Anybody else have questions? Anybody? Really? We've come a whole month and you guys don't have anything on your mind after all we've been through? I find that hard to believe. I think maybe somebody is hiding something they are reluctant to release. Anybody? Go ahead, Deborah. I was going to call on you anyway, so.
Everyone calls on me. Everyone blames me.
No, just Christopher.
Well, that's
Not
funny.
for a while.
Well, yeah, not for a while, yes. But I did have a question for Christopher. Just being involved with Interpol and all of that kind of thing. And I know your husband works in China sometimes and all that good stuff and everything. So you travel a lot. Did you ever maybe have a layover in Sardonia?
You realize Sardonia is nowhere near China, right?
I didn't say it was. I asked if you had a layover there.
I do forget. You did tell me geography, not your strong point.
I never said it was.
You see how difficult you're being?
You're not answering the question and you yell at me for this. I'm just, pointing it out.
That's evasive.
I've never ever had a layover in Sardonia before. I've had them in Japan, I've had them in Korea. That's about it.
Hey, has anybody found Sardonia on the map? Mandy Jo suggests that they might be flights that go the way of the USPS. So who knows? You might have flown through Sardonia and not realized it, Christopher. If you're going by USPS mail, who knows? All right, anybody else? Andrew's spirit says it is next to swordfishia. Sounds fishy to me. Anybody else have anything that they would like to bring up or question our suspects, or maybe ask a finer point of some piece that they got earlier? Anybody? Go, Jules.
I'd like to say that, I like Amy and all. I love to have dinner with her occasionally and stuff, but it's nice having a day off from the library from her because, spending several hours a day, every day with her, every day of the year, it's just after a while, I have to go in my office and just shut the door. So it's nice to have a little peace and quiet from Amy while she's at this library convention I sent her to. So.
Yeah.
Get to talk.
Yeah. We all get to have a little bit of silence in between conversations, which is interesting. little bit different. Andrew,
I would never sell books. I only allow people back in the library after. And
You
I
get brought.
offer babysitting services, yes,
babysitting services.
for books.
Nice. Donations for books. Yeah.
Ah,
Donations for safekeeping of books, right?
Exactly.
Mark, go ahead and say your comment out loud. Go. Mark, you said in the chat that
Oh, yeah. She'll reorganize things when she gets back and go crazy after her training. It's gonna get worse.
Hey, she's my cousin. Everybody be nice.
why?
Well, every family has one, I guess.
Indeed. Does anybody else have anything? Go, Jules.
I just have a question for Christopher. Do you have any leads where you think that maybe because, Andrew's last name is Smith and then Marianne and Melinda's grandmother's name was Smith, kind of? Do you have
Amy's.
worry? Oh,
Amy's
Amy's,
Marianne's grandmother, Smythe.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
did you find any connection between Smythe and Smith in your amazing undercover detective work?
Not as of yet, but with Smith, it's one of the most common names. So there is the potential of it being, for this purpose, a red herring. Something to keep in mind.
Curiouser and curiouser. Does
Just a
anyone
note,
else?
we should watch Marianne and Amy to make sure that they were staying safe while we were investigating, so.
Yeah.
Um,
Go Ruby.
So Jules, I have in my notes that you found a ruby and an emerald when the book was donated. What did you do with that? I'm just curious. Or was that the wrong person? No, it says Jules. No, that might be.
What did you do with those gemstones, Jules?
Put it in my retirement fund. I mean, they were actually asking me for the favor. It wasn't the library, so I put that in it was more than a whole year's worth of my salary, so I figured that I was the one keeping an eye on it, and I deserve to keep that, so it's in my savings account.
Well, and after
Well, maybe
all,
you should take it back out of your savings account, considering you lost the book after keeping an eye on it.
I
We
don't
still
know.
have it. We
Here,
still have it. It's back.
I think, wouldn't those gemstones be considered combat pay for working with Amy?
Yes.
Maybe just a little bit.
I mean, I have been keeping my eye on this nice little hut that's out on this tropical island, and I've just been dreaming it'd be nice to write books that would go in the library. So in the back of my mind, that's what it's gonna go for. It's my retirement fund
I like it.
sooner than later. So.
I
Did
like
you
it.
hear
Well, then Amy
anything?
can take over as the director of the library when Jules goes to her island.
Well, it is secretly why I was interviewing for her position to replace her, because she can have my spot. So it worked out for everybody. I just didn't want her to know that I was leaving, and so.
So
And
you have,
through it all, Andrew's spirit continues to sing to us. Go ahead, Gary.
you have jewels that you've gotten. You've had a gift from Melinda. Does all Liberians pay that well?
No, actually, they don't.
Not that lucrative a profession.
Nope, that's more than I've made in the whole career as being a library director. So it does not pay well.
Mandy Jo, go ahead.
Yes, I was just looking through my notes for some unanswered questions, and I don't know if these have been answered, and I just didn't write down the answers. Do we know who Melinda's mother is, and is Andrew a relative of Melinda?
Neither of those questions have been brought to fore yet. Melinda, go ahead.
So a couple of nights ago, when we were having such grueling interrogation from Officer Gare and the rest of all of our witnesses here, it was mentioned that I found out that my father was the king and that my true mother was actually the queen's handmaiden. And that's why I was gotten sent off to wherever, because it was a treasonable offense to have an affair outside of marriage in Sardonia.
So Melinda, although she's trying really hard, she's illegitimate.
But the manuscript would have helped prove that she was daughter. Have we? That was actually a question, Levi.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Say that again, Ruby. I'm sorry.
Levi wanted to know how we were going to figure out proof. Is like, are we doing a DNA test on her in order to figure out that she was the illegitimate daughter of the king?
As I understand it, that's why the book is so gosh darned important. It has her birth record recorded in it. And that's why we're trying to go ahead, Deborah.
Okay.
Well, now
so
we got it. Sorry.
All right. So Andrew and Melinda are related then? Is that like?
I don't think Andrew's related, just Melinda is related.
Well, we know that Andrew is related to, we learned a few days ago that Andrew is related to the royal family. And
Right.
if Melinda is the illegitimate daughter of the king, that would make them family, wouldn't it?
Aww.
So is it possible that
he's related to half the suspects?
Family, you can't pick them. Go ahead, Deborah.
So is it possible that Andrew could actually be next in line for the throne possibly, or would that be Melinda or?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, obviously, but that's kind of my point. It's like maybe Melinda found out that he was and offed him.
That's a legitimate line of questioning, considering the illegitimacy of her claim. But yeah, it could be.
There
I
was
just think
more.
it's cool because everyone's talking about being related and like being heirs and this and that and who gets the money and who gets the throne and everything else. And I'm like, well, if they're related, then maybe Melinda offed Andrew because she found out that he was going to get more than she was.
There was more to Andrew than met the eye. One thing that I haven't really discussed up until recently was that the royal family had been in touch with our department and with me, and I had agreed with their request to plant some evidence at Andrew's house that would make his arrest ironclad and put him away for a couple of decades and put me in line for the promotion I have been hoping for.
So much for Christopher
Okay.
Gare being the squeaky clean detective guy, right?
That's
Never said he
okay.
was.
Deborah knew the entire thing, so that was okay. However, we found out the U.S. does not have an extradition to Sardonia, a treaty with them. But I will tell you this, when I went to Andrew's house and I was going to plant the Bible evidence, I said previously that there were 12 copies of the sardonic manuscript. We have one that Andrew had. There were 6 others in his house.
Oh no, Andrew had the other 6. Well, wait, that still means there's 5 missing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marianne.
She mentioned
Okay. Christopher Gare, Officer Gare, get your handcuffs ready. I lied. I'm sorry. But I was never contacted by an agent from Interpol. I was contacted from an agent by the royal family. So I don't know if that puts me arrestable, or since I previously had said, or maybe it was you that called me posing as an agent or someone else. But I was told that Andrew was a career thief. And, I was supposed to keep the book safe until they found the other copies. I'm sorry.
And
I'm
the
sorry.
and the plot thickens. So Mark, I need you to read that out loud. Go ahead.
Okay, since Amy knew she would possibly get fired, this is for Jules. She might have needed the money, so the value of the book was it was an interest. How did she act, Jules, when Andrew got killed? Did she act like the other people in the group near Andrew?
Well, not like the other people, because she was very, very disturbed that there was a chive flying across and she thought it was going to get on the books. But once she knew it wasn't on the books, then she chilled out and she just, then I guess she was as surprised as everybody else. So.
Okay.
Yeah, as I recall watching her reaction, she was not nearly as concerned about Andrew dying as she was about the floor getting stained.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, she very clearly said, "Oh, I missed the books. Oh, yeah, I guess he's dead." So,
Good thing.
So there, yeah, that possibility there.
Gary, go ahead. Tell us your comment out loud.
No, I just said that Andrew was going to get a book for everybody and for all of the suspects, and you all just ruined the surprise.
He was trying to peddle the book, right?
Yeah, just hand them out.
He was trying to put in everybody's hands. All right. So we have come to the end of another rousing adventure in our Can We Interrogate the Suspects adventure. This was super fun. We've learned some interesting things tonight. Make sure you add those points to your notebooks and come back tomorrow to ask more questions. Who did it? Who killed Andrew Allen Smith? Now we know that there were more than just one copy of the sardonic manuscripts involved. Andrew was hiding 5 of them. Where are the others? Okay. Or was he hiding 6 of them? Now, see, math.
6
not
in
my
the
thing.
house, 1 in his jacket. That he had 7, so we're looking for 5.
Thank you. Diana
Sorry.
doesn't do math. No, I appreciate
I
it.
don't either. I was actually saying that out loud in case someone needed to correct me, because
I appreciate I appreciate that. Don't forget, we are doing a scavenger hunt all month long. If you have not been playing daily, go back and watch the replays, get your riddles, get the clues. Don't forget to turn in your completed forms on time so that you can be in the drawing. All of the completed correct forms are going to be in the drawing to win snazzy prizes. So make sure you do that. Riddle Master Jacob Willen, thank you very much for your incredible help with this. Our dead body check outline is getting more crowded. Deborah Reed at 194 points. Andrew Allen Smith at 184. Amy Kelso at 180. Ruby Fink at 117. Chloe Holiday 119. I flipped those because Diana doesn't do math, so you'll see they're out of order. Jen Rinaldi at 114. Emma Palova at 110. And Marianne Whelan at 106. Congratulations to everybody who's gotten to the heart of the case so far. On our fingerprint of accusation, hand of accusation, maybe that's how you say it. In reigning point values, Mark Love, Christopher Gare, Mark McCraw, Jules Nelson, and Jennifer Rains and Mandy Joe are tied for 5th place on the thumb. 574 total witnesses have made it to our wackiness this month. There's the witness ledger. As you see, right around 23, 25, somewhere in there. Let's see if we can get those numbers up for the end. And of course, the big reveal on the 28th, which is going to be, oh my gosh, so much fun. Tonight, we're giving away nightly loot, as we always do, with the spinning wheel of happiness. If your name appears on the wheel, please, pretty please, send me an email to diana@pagespromotions.com with your mailing address, and we will try to get those books out to you postmarked by March 5th. I know a bunch of them are already in the mail. Mark McCraw, I got your earlier email regarding that, and I will send you back a reply.
Thank you.
So we're going to do our lightning round while Diana gets her act together with the spinning wheel. And we're going to ask an interesting question. The majority of the people in the room tonight are authors, so I'm going to ask a writer type question. However, readers who are in the room, if you're not a writer, you can answer this question about a book that you've read. Here's the question, everybody.
Dun, dun, dun.
Who is having difficulty reading my own writing? Okay, who is your either least favorite or most favorite character that you have created in a book? So tell us the title of the book, the name of the character, and either your least favorite or your most favorite. And Christopher and Chloe, the two of you together nearly fell off your chair simultaneously. So I'll call on you guys toward the end. So Marianne, we'll start with you. Least favorite or most favorite?
I think my most favorite character is the character of Henry's son that he didn't know he had, Ryan. He's a 12-year-old boy who's a genius savant. I think he's my favorite one to write.
Awesome. Mark McCraw, what about you?
I would say Betty, who's in Betty the Babbler, because she's always getting in trouble for learning so much about books, but she keeps telling everybody in our classroom and gets in trouble.
That's a super fun book, by the way. That we
Thank
read that
you.
on the podcast. That's a super. It's like
Almost
Fox
like a
and
Dr.
Socks.
Seuss, wasn't
It
it?
was very difficult for me to get
A
through.
lot
that
of
book.
B's in that book.
Ingar, what about you? Favorite or least favorite?
Sorry, I was on mute. Favorite character is probably Cordelia. She's the mermaid in the story. She had a lot of dreams, but she had a lot of personal setbacks, but she achieved her dreams at the end of the book.
Awesome.
I put her through so many things that I feel bad for her.
But she came out on top, and that's why we love her.
Exactly.
Jules Nelson, what about you?
I would say my favorite character to write is Seth. He's the little brother in the Shadows of Home series, and he's constantly getting into the pantry and asking things to be sweeter and getting excited about getting cooked for, and just very childish, funny, but also has a good heart. So he's a lot of fun to write.
Cool. Preeti, what about you? Favorite or least favorite character you've written?
My favorite characters are the characters from my latest picture book, Gaja and Garud, the elephant and the eagle, because I wrote this story in 2009, I think, and after 14 years or something, I published it now. So, to see these characters come to life, it was really great.
That is very cool. Jen Rinaldi, what about you?
Vincent from the second book that hasn't been released yet. He's a Down syndrome kid who's 20, and he discovers angels for the first time, and he makes all his action figures look like the different angels he's met. So,
oh, that sounds like fun. Make sure you let us know when that book comes out. Mandy Jo, what about you? Favorite or least favorite character?
Say least favorite character or favorite character to not like would be Krizor in my book Amaranth. He's actually Amaranth's very evil father.
Okay. Deborah Reed.
I'm about to have a brain aneurysm trying to figure this out. I would say Okay, I'm gonna list like three like really quick because I just can't choose. So one is Dee Dee and the Wonderland Code. One is Jazz in All the Things We Didn't See, who just popped up out of the middle of nowhere. She totally surprised me, but she carried the book.
She was a great
And
character.
Nick Brouchard in Web of DC.
Well done. Congratulations for doing that
choices.
without your brain exploding. Ruby Fink.
So I've got a lot that I love, but probably favorite at the moment is the villain I created for Making McKinney series. And it took writing the podcast and coming back to do the book series, and I finally figured out who they were supposed to be, because I'm like, it could be this person, it could be this person, and trying to write dialogue for this character that I didn't even know the identity of until I kind of looked through everyone's like, oh, it's this person. And then once I had that, I was able to.
Very fun.
Yeah, it's fun. I shan't
Super
tell
fun.
you who it is, but I hope that everyone will be surprised and enjoy it.
Okay. Jennifer Rains, favorite or least favorite character you've created?
I think favorite sort of changes over time. So I'll say it's one in a book that's due for release in 2024, and he's a bespoke woodworker, making furniture from recycled wood, and he's a genius. He's also very appealing on a number of other levels.
That'll be fun to read. Let us know when it comes out. Gary Floyd, what about you?
I'm gonna go with the one that it's not out, has not been published yet, but it's two kids that are about 8 to 10 that run away from a group home, decide to rob a foot locker, and then one of them starts to hyperventilate, so they have to call an ambulance for him.
Okay. Deb McPeak, a character that you have loved or hated in a book you've read.
Jamie Fraser and the Outlander series.
Did you love him or hate him?
Oh, he's hot.
That's the TV show you're talking about.
So I think I love him.
Okay. Mackenzie, can you put yours in the chat pretty please, and maybe Jules can read it for us. Deborah Harris, you seem to be gone, so when you come back, if you can answer that question for us, that would be great too. Jules, can you read Mackenzie's answer for me, please?
Says, my favorite is Ainsley Jacqueline Niram. I said that wrong. She's basically me, but real, or but not real per se. Least favorite is Thomas Mastaw because he's based on a bully.
Okay. Andrew Smith, what about you?
Me?
Yeah,
Oh.
you.
I'm in Deborah's boat. I'm still trying to decide. I would say probably Alan Spears inside the Masterson File series. Surprisingly not Michael, but Alan, who trains the dogs and always wants to protect everybody with the amazing animals. Or maybe Jay McLeod inside the Masterson File series, because he's always got a good story about a bar. But every one of my characters I like, and I love the villains too, and love to kill them. They're fun to kill.
Melinda, what about you?
The book is The Eye of the Storm, my action thriller, and the character was undoubtedly Digger Kelly, who is a retired veteran who is also a conspiracy theorist who lives in a bunker, and he may be a little nuts, but like I said in the book, he was the guy that you want to have your back.
Yeah, I liked that character a lot. He was fun to read. All right, Diana, I know that I'm essentially asking you to pick favorites here, which isn't fair to you, but I want you to just throw one out. We won't hold you to it, but throw one out, either your least favorite or your most favorite character from a book. And it doesn't have to be a book written by anybody in the room.
No pressure.
It would probably be easier for you if it wasn't.
There are way too many to choose from. I like Andrew's characters and his Masterson files. I like Deb's characters and her the Rain series, the adult trilogy. I like Emma and Thane from Jules's book. There's just way too many. This is too much pressure.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
You're taxing her. You
I
need
know.
to stop that.
Okay.
I'm picking you, Ralph.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I knew it was going to be a tough question for you, but I also didn't want to insult you by not asking. So there you go. All right. For me, my favorite character has got to be one that I'm currently writing in my paranormal novel that's coming out, God willing, this summer. His name is Caden Davies, and he is an MSP officer and also a novelist. So he's a lot of fun to write. I pattern him after an MSP officer that I know really well, and he's been a lot of fun to play with. Okay.
Did Christopher answer?
Christopher, did you answer? You didn't answer. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was wondering.
I let you pass and then I forgot. Thank you,
didn't let me
Jennifer,
pass, you
for
just didn't
reminding
call
me.
me at first.
Thank you for reminding me, Jennifer. Go ahead, Christopher.
The correct answer, of course, is always going to be the one I haven't written yet.
Well, okay, that's a cop out.
No,
Well, it's interesting that he says correct answer.
Yeah.
There was in Falling Awake 2 a very short scene with a former police captain named Joe Murphy, who I ended up putting an entire book around in the fourth one. It takes place in the 1970s. My father was a police officer, and I grew up with police officers. So this character is kind of a bit of an amalgam of all these police officers I've known. The fourth book is almost a noir type of book. And this character just was living and breathing and talking in my head. And he was just this old school former police captain who doesn't put up with anybody's crap, speaks his mind, isn't afraid to take a shot at somebody. And it was just a character I loved really delving into.
So what's the title of that fourth book? Melinda wants to know.
Retribution, Falling Awake for Retribution.
Awesome. 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 Cool. Yay. Okay. I got everybody, right? Right? Yes. Okay, good. All right, here we go. We are going to do the spinning wheel of happiness. It is that time, folks. Time to give away books. Tonight, we're giving away Jules Nelson's book. Hold it up for me, pretty please. This is Jules Nelson's book, Road Home. And she's going to be the first book we give away. And Inga Rudholm, hold your book up pretty please. Traveling Circus is the second spin. So here we go. I'm going to share my wheel if I can get my computer to do what it's supposed to do. Okay, somebody please tell me you can see that.
Did you check the box?
I'm looking right now. Thank you very much.
And you should change the sound to Baby Shark.
Oh, I wish Baby Shark was an option, but it's not an option on the spinning wheel.
Can we kill Andrew twice for that one?
Oh.
All right, here we go for Jules' book. Yes.
I already have it.
You do?
I do.
All right. Well, then we'll spin the wheel again. Let's try it again. Here we go. Okay. Hold on just 1 second. We'll put Marianne back on the wheel. Hey. Okay.
The wheel of pain.
All right, here we go. This is for Ingar's book. Here we go. Where? I did not set that up.
Hey, Mary.
Diana, I have that one too.
Oh, wow.
I was gonna say, she's got both of them, doesn't
That's
she?
that's
You also
funny.
got incredible luck.
Nobody
That's
tells
yeah,
me
that's
these
funny.
days. I love the randomness of the wheel because I have complete absolution from the whole thing. Okay, here we go.
She may have.
Jules, do you have Ingar's book?
The first one?
The
No, I gave the other one away, so.
well, then you're all set. Okay, awesomeness. Okay, everybody. Preeti and Jules, please remember to send me an email with your mailing address so we can get those books out to you. Again, it's Diana@pagespromotions.com. And Andrew, you were dead tonight, so I'm going to let you close out the evening. Do you have anything you'd like to contribute to the madness before we all leave?
Who?
You.
Oh,
Because you're dead. You didn't get a chance to do a lot.
I don't get a chance to say as much.
I know, so I'm giving you this opportunity to spew forth what you would like.
Well, here, I'll spew forth something that'll maybe inspire everybody. And if you this afternoon, I was taking a walk outside and I looked up as I heard a scream across the sky. And there were two bald eagles chasing each other and ended up being less than 20 feet from me as they ran around. I think it must be eagle mating season, not sure. But I didn't have a camera and didn't have my phone with me, and I sat there and enjoyed it. And Pepper looked and watched it the whole thing. Take a moment, get rid of everything and watch something like that because it was absolutely awe-inspiring. Enjoy your days, enjoy your nights, but enjoy it all.
Awesome. That's a perfect way to end the evening. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We will see you back in the room again tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.